Essence of love. During my time of solitude with soulmate number 4, I looked to my angel cards for solace and comfort. The divine inspirational messages are just what my soul needed to be pulled back from the inescapable pain coming from the unending mind loops. They are beautiful reminders of timeless truths. The one card I pulled more than any other was this one. The angel of the essence of love helps us to strip off the mask of illusion and see that love is the essence of all life. This angel works to help us unfold from the limited cocoon of our ego and be the magnificent creature of light we are. When we have penetrated the illusions of personality and the destructive nature of negativity, we realize that what we are at our core is a fountain of love. This love lives at the center of every living cell in our bodies and in the heart of all living things. The consciousness of what we are permeates all other living substance too. Our own sweet essence is the same as the universal essence of love, which unites us and bonds us intimately with the source. We can offer prayers to the angel of the essence of love to help us recognize the essence which lies at the heart of our being. When we choose to identify with this essence, we are coming from our higher self, which is an aspect of the divine, rather than from the other self of the small individual ego. We seek assistance to help us detach ourselves from the illusions of our being and to find the underlying reality that we are one with the source and with all life. We pray to be able to connect with that oneness and remember the eternal and unconditional nature of that love. As we open our hearts to the love within us, we find that the essence of love is the basic and fundamental substance of life. Without it, nothing could grow or flourish, and life would cease to exist. The angel essence of love carefully guards the substance within each of us. When we choose to live from the space, we are given untold treasures in the shape of experiences which acknowledge to us that love is who we are. From the Angel Oracle by Ambika Waters. Finding peace. Live each present moment completely, and the future will take care of itself. Fully enjoy the wonder and beauty of each instant. Practice the presence of peace. The more you do that, the more you will feel the presence of that power in your life. Paramahansa Yogananda. Peace is only possible in the present moment. I can't tell you how many times I've read this statement or heard this concept expressed in different ways, but never took it seriously until I began to seriously wake up. Eckhart Tolle, a world-renowned philosopher, devoted an entire book to the present moment, the power of now. There had to be something to this. It wasn't until the last episode of complete heartbreak and abandonment that I finally got it. I finally realized how precious the present moment is. Zig Ziglar, who was one of the first motivational speakers I listened to on cassette in my car, had an interesting definition of genius. He said a genius was someone who was able to stay in the present moment. I love this definition because it's not dependent on IQ and it's available to everyone. Nevertheless, how many of us actually put this into practice? Into action, meaning when you are at work, you are at work and not thinking about family matters. When you are at home relaxing, you are home relaxing, not thinking about work. When you are in the shower, you are in the shower, not thinking about your to-do list, etc. Your mind is where your body is. As simple as this concept is, this is one of the most challenging things to do. Your mind, with all its preset, misconstrued neural pathways, is the root of all your problems. Pam Grout. One of the things that transforms when you practice the art of being present is the amount of energy and vitality you have. One experience that made me stop and realize the power of the now moment occurred a few years ago during the time I was fundraising, training to swim across the Great South Bay, teaching yoga, personal training, doing massage, and decided to get another part-time job waitressing on top of that. I tend to be on the lazy side. I know. What was I thinking? I had just finished walking Karma and didn't realize I had to be at the restaurant at 3:30 for my evening shift. I was enjoying the moment when I got the call, "Where are you?" If I had known I had to work that day, I would not have enjoyed my time with Karma, or any of my day for that matter. I would have been thinking about work with apprehension. It had been 20 years since I had waitressed and found it quite challenging and anxiety-provoking. Not knowing I had to work was a gift because it allowed me to see the difference in the quality of my time spent when I wasn't fretting about work. What takes us out of the present moment? I found the most practical insight about staying in the present moment from Dr. Richard Moss's book, The Mandala of Being, Discovering the Power of Awareness. How can we take the heightened state of consciousness achieved during the retreat and maintain it at home? My answer is simple: past, future, me, you, energy, as I am using the term here, is really our power of awareness. And this is always a product of our proximity to the now moment. At the beginning of ourselves, we are united with the source. The further we move away, the faster we leak that energy and diminish our capacity for awareness. Our past, future, me, you stories are little black holes that continually suck away our energy by creating their own vortices of unreality. This unreality, like a dream, seems real to us at the time, but from within, there is no way to be replenished by the source. We seem to always be at the edge of exhaustion, wondering why we are so tired. Why is there so little time, or so much time? Why can't we seem to pull ourselves together? The answer is simple: we are paddling without putting our paddle in the water. We don't grasp that we are replenished only by the source, and that for this to happen, we must return to the now, to our beginning. We have to take the risk of staying in the present. Therefore, one of the most important things we can learn is to see clearly the 4 places we go when we leave ourselves. Then we can wake up from these stories and resource ourselves moment by moment. And the 4 places that we go when we leave ourselves are the past, the future, you and me stories. The eternal now moment is all we really have. Everything else we are just making up. Our emotional body is usually stuck in the replaying of the past drama, reliving experiences of pain or failure from our mental body, and our reliving experiences of pain or failure, and our mental body is projecting into the future with fear and uncertainty. When I start to feel cruddy, I pause and examine the thoughts I was just having. Yup, it's my mind out of control. When I heard the message from God, "No te preocupes, mujer," don't worry, woman, I didn't fully get it until now. By the way, when we relive the past by obsessing over it in our minds, it produces the same chemical effects as if it was actually happening. If you want a cocktail of cortisol, cytokines, and histamine, and other damaging chemicals, think fearful thoughts. If you want a cocktail of dopamine, oxytocin, vasopressin, and growth hormone, think loving thoughts. What is worry anyway? I love Patanjali's definition of worry. Worry is a thought that hasn't happened yet. Joyce Meyer says, worry is like rocking in a rocking chair. Keeps you busy, but gets you nowhere. And Mark Twain, I've had a lot of worries in my life, most of which never happen. Worry is faith inverted. Worry is getting lost in the world of illusion and forgetting who you are. Temporarily, you can always get back. Harnessing the power of your mind can be more effective than the drugs you have been programmed to believe you need. Bruce Lipton. Over 40 million people suffer from anxiety. Medication is not the answer. Meditation is. Truth is. Charles Spurgeon, author and England's best-known minister, said it best. Anxiety does not empty tomorrow of its sorrow, but only empties today of its strength. Empowered meditation. In the beginning of my journey, I would attend all these inspiring motivational workshops doing the old woo woo. Then after a couple of days being home, The pep in my step was gone, and I was back to the same old negative thoughts and boring routine. Over coffee with a friend one day, who was also experiencing the same phenomenon, we questioned how do we maintain that good feeling of bliss. The reason for the temporary high was because I hadn't learned yet how to stay in the present moment. So when I wasn't thinking or being present, I defaulted back to my distorted subconscious programming. What I was learning did not yet sink into my subconscious. It had yet to become a habit. The subconscious mind is like a sponge. It doesn't judge or differentiate with the information that is being supplied. It just takes it all in, no questions asked. We can all relate to learning how to drive. At first, it was all very mechanical, concentrating and focusing on putting our foot on the brake and gas and so on. Over time, with practice, driving became something we did without consciously thinking about it. It was now ingrained into our subconscious mind. That's how we can get in our car, drive somewhere, and not remember one detail about how we got there. That's because we were driving on autopilot from our subconscious mind. That is how we live most of our life, including how we relate in our relationships as well. One of the most helpful insights I found was in the book, The Honeymoon Effect by Dr. Bruce Lipton. He says there are really 4 minds in a relationship: your conscious mind, your subconscious mind, your partner's conscious mind, and their subconscious mind. If we are not paying attention, the subconscious mind is running the show, and it's not a pleasurable one. We react from our wounds, lash out from our wounds, relate from our wounds, and the next thing you know, you and your wounds are moving on, like me. Now I understand why Osho, a wise spiritual teacher, said that the only way for a relationship to work is if both people were meditating. What he meant by that is not sitting cross-legged with eyes closed off somewhere in La La Land. Rather, meditation meant actually bringing your awareness into your interactions in daily life. I call it meditation in action, which might seem like an oxymoron, but it is not. Personally, I don't think it's such a great feat to sit home alone in quietude, somewhere peaceful, and clear your mind. Big whoop. Try having a peaceful mind in the midst of a turbulent relationship, or in the midst of your children having temper tantrums while you're trying to pay the rent, put food on the table. I think it's a great feat when you can be in the crazy and still be steady and centered. Meditation is not the goal of yoga, as some people think. Meditation is a tool that can help you reach the goal. The goal of yoga is freedom, liberation, or self-realization. You might be born, like most children, now with the realization of who you truly are and never lose it. Therefore, you don't need to meditate. Of course, meditation comes in handy in our modern, noisy world as a means to recenter ourselves and enrich ourselves from within. However, being a spiritual vagabond or vague mystic doesn't serve anyone. Combining the introspective inward focus of Eastern philosophies with the creative outward focus of the West is the best way to serve the world. We came here to be human, not to transcend it. Divinity in action. Our stifling stories, blah, blah, blah. Not only do we leave the present moment with past, future thoughts, we pile on more negative self-sabotaging thoughts that support our subconscious programming and old stories. Mine was, everyone always leaves me. I even have backup evidence to prove it. Or it can be as simple as your mother gave you fresh squeezed orange juice in your bottle when you were a toddler and you swallowed a pit from the juice that made you gag. 50 years later, you still don't eat oranges. When someone asks you if you want an orange, you reply, I don't eat oranges, and then proceed to tell them your story, when all you need to do is just eat an orange. This is how your story keeps you stuck in the past and becomes your reality. Where is there time for joy in all that muck? The present moment is where we create our lives, where we become the artists of our masterpiece. The problem is we are always creating whether we subscribe to it or not. And most of the time we are creating unconsciously and unintentionally. When we live in the present, we are God-choosing, master creators of our world. The present moment holds infinite possibilities. It's a gift. That's why they call it the present. It is a restart of coming back to what really matters. It is the only time where the pain and suffering can dissipate because we've dropped our false identifications and our limiting stories we tell ourselves. Everything that you need exists in this present moment. And the moment is all that exists. In its brief flicker, you will find all the time in the world. Through it, you will contact the living information that will guide you with infallible direction. This present moment is the stargate through which you will leave the prison of human definition and expand into awareness of divine perception. It is the crack between the worlds, not only the worlds of past and future, but worlds of time and space, spirit and matter, form and being. It is a timeless zone, the gateway through which you will again begin to participate in the adventure of creation. Ken Carey, The Starseed Transmissions. The spiritual practice of catching ourselves. Live in the now, for when you live in the consciousness of the now, you are light taking the lead whilst human. The Arcturians. How do we do that? We go back to our Yoga Sutra number 17, book 2. You are the observer behind the thought, the witness, the light. You are not the pain, the emotions, the thought, the mind. You are just the watcher. At one point in my journey recently, I was wondering, how do I stay in the witness perspective, in the present moment, and maintain my freedom? I can get there, but it doesn't last too long. Of course, my questions and prayers are always answered. During a group meditation, paramount divine messages came through the channel. When you are in deep contemplation in the past or future, you are not living in the now moment. Seizing the thoughts is a conscious choice. As soon as you have the awareness that you lost yourself in the thought and the illusion of the ego mind or the mind loops, you are already back in the conscious observer. You're already back in the light. Thank you. That's encouraging and doable. So basically, waking up and becoming an empowered self-master is all about catching ourselves over and over again, bringing us back from the confusion and turmoil of the contemplative mind and returning to the now moment, to the peace and clarity of the knowing heart, remembering that we are the light. Again, we must know who we are. Knowing who we are is the foundation. Catching ourselves is the practice. If you still think you are junk, it's not going to do you any good. You have to know who you are. Once you know who you truly are, there's no more finding peace. You are peace. The question and searching stops because you are everything you are looking for. Why is this such a hard concept for us to get? It's because we've been asleep in the dark ages for lifetimes upon lifetimes. This is not something we are taught in school. Socrates said, "Know thyself." Which self is that? The two-word imperative is found throughout all the great teachings, including my book, from all over the world. It's one of the niyamas in yoga, swadhyaya, self-study. This is a priority on the path to awakening and the most fundamental and important question one we can discover. Who are you? The God Games. The gods and goddesses of ancient Greece, I am told, once gathered on Mount Olympus to play one of their favorite games. Hide the truth from humankind. Let's hide it at the bottom of the ocean, cried one. No, he'll eventually build submarines and find it. How about up to the moon, suggested another. No, he's too ingenious for that. He'll eventually get there too. Finally, the most mischievous of all the gods, the one represented in humorous drawings as a little angel whose halo is always somewhat askance, spoke up. I've got a great idea. Let's hide it deep inside of him. He'll never think to look there. When you know who you are, consciousness or light, which are synonymous, it's easier to catch yourself and bring yourself back from the outer drama and craziness to your center. It's not that you won't have all those crazy thoughts anymore. They will still come, trust me, but you can bring yourself back faster. Less suffering, more joy. When I'm in it, I catch myself and say, I'm not these crazy obsessive thoughts. I am the light having these crazy obsessive thoughts. Then I breathe, recenter, and sigh with relief. I love this quote from Eckhart Tolle, A New Earth. The only thing that ultimately matters is this. Can I sense my essential beingness, the I am, in the background of my life at all times? To be more accurate, can I sense the I am that I am at this moment? Can I sense my essential identity as consciousness itself? Or am I losing myself in what happens, losing myself in the mind, in the world?